Welcome to Keeping It Real, where we talk business, money, and mindset.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Keeping It Real podcast. I'm your host, Richard, and as always, I got a very special guest with me today. I'm going to introduce him in a second. But, this person's very special, you know what I mean? This guy's like my brother. I seen this guy's come up from, literally nothing to where he is now. Helped me out a lot in my journey, like Newport vibes, which we're going to talk about in a bit. It was a big turning point in my life. But anyways, I got my homie Hayden today, Hayden Bowles. Some of you guys might know him from YouTube, from Instagram, very, very big in the e-commerce industry. One of the leaders in the e-commerce industry, one of the early adopters when it comes to YouTube and stuff, So it's cool to have Hayden on, bro. Welcome, bro. How you been?
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I've been doing excellent. It has been far too long since we got to connect.
For real, I think last time we linked was Bali. And then
yeah, dude, got a good week or two in Bali. Can't complain.
in Bali, and then it's been a while. I've been wanting to come out there, but COVID and everything. So we're gonna fix that once all this is over. But go ahead and introduce yourself for some people that do not know you, bro.
For sure, yeah. I met you probably about 3 years ago over social media, kind of through some e-commerce stuff, and then we connected in person about 2 years ago. I've been running e-commerce stores for a little over 3.5 years, closing in on 4. And for the previous year before that is when I was only doing something notable. Before that, it was like trying a bunch of random stuff. The year before I really started e-commerce, I owned a couple of theme pages on Instagram. So that's kind of what exposed me to what e-commerce was, because people would pay me very minimal amounts of money, like $30 for a shout out. And I would see the same company, it was primarily a teeth whitening company, doing it over and over again on my pages. I asked them straight up, I'm like, what is this doing for you? Why are you doing it? I was like 15 at the time. And they said, well, they're making money. And, they're trying to get their brand out there. So kind of sparked my eyes. Obviously didn't give me enough information to get started, but, led me on the path to learning and looking and buying courses and asking people online. And some of my good friends, I used to do door-to-door sales when I was 15 and 16 in California. Some of them blew up with their e-commerce stores, became good friends with Ty Lopez and a bunch of people. And, I just got to see that. I saw that, okay, it's tangible. I was good friends with them, and they're smart guys, but they weren't anything special. So if someone can do it that I knew, I was like, okay, maybe I can do that. So the last 3 years has really been the grind. It's been amazing being able to leave school, which was the biggest thing for me, leaving school, moving out of my home in Minnesota with my parents. And I moved out to California when I was 17. As soon as I turned 18, went overseas for a little while still working all day, every day, and nothing else to do, but wanted to experience. I hadn't traveled much. So went and traveled overseas for a solid 4 months, came back, and that's when I got my place on the beach in Newport, which is where you were able to come out and visit.
100%. Wow. That was 2 years ago, right? 2 years right now, man. 2 years
ago to today that we're filming it.
You know what's crazy? I was checking my Snapchat, and 2 years ago we were at that dealership, that exotic dealership with all the exotic cars just driving. I'm like, wow, that was – because I remember that day was a big mindset shift day too for me, because of all the cars and seeing all the expensive stuff, you know what I mean? Actually, no, back to your story, bro. Continue with the sidetrack.
Yeah, dude, but everything like that plays a role. Even us going there, I used to go into dealerships all the time, and I had my BMW, which I love to death, still have that car. And it was more so a mindset behind the cars, because you make some money. Anybody can kind of go put some money down and finance one and whatnot. But to really make sense of a purchase like that, like a supercar, it's a bit ridiculous. So you've got to really be able to make sense of it. And I moved to Newport because I didn't know anyone there, by the way. I moved there just because of the wealth and the beauty. So just the most beautiful, clean beaches, coastline, in my opinion, the most amazing place in California that I had ever been to. And I had no friends, so it was great that you came out because I was bored for a few months. But I literally don't know anyone there, really still to this day. I met a few older guys who are, 50, 55 and then have some big companies, but that's it. So those aren't people you go hang out with, really. So, it's definitely an amazing experience. But through all that, traveling, living at the beach for a while, and then came out to Arizona, started visiting a couple of my friends who had moved out here. It was only a 5-hour drive. So I would just drive at random times, come out for the weekend, go back and forth. Again, I want to stress while still working every single day, always working. I'd come out here, have fun, I never expected to like it, because it's kind of the desert, but it's really not, especially where I live. It's all green. There's not a single cactus in sight, no dirt. It's beautiful green grass and trees. You'll definitely have to come visit, but I really did, kind of fall in love with it. And then from a practical business perspective, I was always saving my money, just again, always working, stacking money. And I wanted to get into real estate. And in California, property tax is ridiculous. All sorts of tax is ridiculous there, as well as income tax. And real estate prices, in my opinion, were through the roof. They were too high. So I came to Arizona so that I didn't have to claim residency in California. So I pay personal income tax here. It's actually a different topic, but I'll actually be leaving Arizona for income tax purposes and just kind of splitting my time here and somewhere else. But came out here, rented a place for a while, met a lot of friends, ended up meeting someone, and we can talk about it for the first time ever here, we got into a relationship with. And then after about 7-8 months out here, I started purchasing properties. So I just closed on my 4th property right now, which is what I'm sitting in. And that's the home for me. The first 3 before that were 2 single family homes and a duplex. Mm-hmm. So just all investment properties. They're all rented. It's going really well. So super excited for that. And it's really opened my eyes to like a big picture, just a different level of business and wealth, seeing what people in real estate, the tax advantages from it. So it's just been a great journey, through all that, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of both for sure. And it's been a blessing. I have nothing to complain about. It's been a huge learning experience. And, I'm super grateful for that and the great circle of friends that I have both here and just that I still stay connected with. Right. It's not a large amount of people, as I'm sure it's the same with you, but those people really do mean everything. It's all about your circle.
I agree with you on that, bro. And it's just amazing to hear your story, because like I said, I've seen it from, the lead friend days, selling on the phone to e-com to YouTube. And it's just crazy seeing your journey. And I also want to say congratulations on the recent purchase. I know that's the one you're living in. So I'm excited to come visit that one. It's definitely going to be fun when I definitely come out there. And a couple of things you mentioned there, you kept on talking about working, like how important it was for you to be consistent with your work and hard work. And that's the first thing I wrote here because, that's the main thing I got from you. I learned from you is like that work ethic, like how you would really go out of your way and work really hard, even like unnecessarily at times, you know what I mean? And that showed me a lot and that taught me a lot. And I kind of wanted to dive into this topic. And I guess we can talk more about hard work, but before even that, I think my thing is your why, why you even work so hard, even when at a young age compared to the average person our age, you're way ahead, right? But what makes you still go the extra mile and just work hard?
Yeah. Kind of what you said there, the psychology behind working harder than the average person. I try not to compare and contrast myself really against anyone unless they're doing a lot better than me in ways that I respect.
Right.
So, there's people who make a lot more than me and work a whole lot less. And to be honest, I'm sure you know the same thing. Whatever we do in a day, we could probably get done in 3 hours if we were properly productive and just getting it done. But I feel weird if I'm not working. So that's why I would, in certain times, stretch stuff out and become unproductive, which has always been a constant battle. But trying to do things in a short period of time, taking a break, and then doing some extra stuff just to keep working. So for me, YouTube was a great way to fill the gaps. At first it wasn't a money maker, but it definitely turned into something that does produce some money that helps, cover investments or do whatever. So it's a cool way to do that. It's led to me meeting a lot of people. So, filling the time with that after I'm done working for the day has been great. So, I never had a problem working. I know you mentioned kind of the younger people side of things. I know a lot of people who just like to hang out. I get really, really bored if I'm just hanging out, So for me, I again feel weird if I'm not working and I don't have anything better to do. So, now I'm finally starting to pick up a few hobbies. But that's, again, doesn't take much time. So trying to figure out that balance. And I think that's a constant lifelong struggle that every entrepreneur is going to have always. Right. So yeah, just working, been building a team. Employees have been great. Things have been fairly automated. So, my work day consists of 3 to 4 hours of work, which could definitely be condensed. But I try to spend time taking time for myself, my health, both physical, mental. With all the gyms closed right now, it hasn't been great, but going for runs, which has been new because I was never much of a runner, just going for a jog, even 20, 30 minutes to clear your head. So trying to just enjoy a little bit more and still, again, stay working, stay productive, and keep building. So in a bigger picture, just to answer your why question, it's really simple for me, financial security. That's the first thing. As soon as I get myself taken care of, then I can properly start helping other people, like my family, my future family. I need to set that up because I do not like instability. I do not like inconsistency. That's why I work so hard. It's just you only get one shot at life, depending on what you believe in, but you're here one time. So you might as well get that money thing out of the way first. Because people can say it doesn't matter or they don't care about it, but those are the same people who work, 9 to 5 every single day, Monday through Friday, with 2 weeks off a year. And I saw that growing up. I saw people talk about it and say they don't care about it. And I'm like, well, you go to work, and I know for a fact you don't like what you do. So why is that? You're spending a huge amount of time. So I'd rather overdo it, overkill it right now, and just set it up. So if I want to take time off, I can do that.
I love that, bro. And I think that's very important now, sacrifice now for a better later. And even like a quick note to that, I remember in university, I asked some guy, I'm like, hey man, I'm about to go to university. How can I, get more girls, go to more parties and all this shit, right? And he did it. I remember it was like such a simple thing, but he said, honestly, bro, just focus on your work. Everything is more fun when you're rich. And that stuck with me, and it still sticks with me to this day. He's like, everything is more fun when you're rich. You know what I mean? And it's like, I rather sacrifice the fun that everybody can have now, so later on can have fun that most people, I guess, can't have. You know what I mean? I don't know how. It's hard to explain that.
Yeah, well, it's access to things. It's
exactly access, accessing different things, experiencing things.
Yeah, and for an example, the hobby I picked up recently is skydiving. I fell in love with the sport, and it's not by any means a cheap sport. So yesterday, I went indoor skydiving in the tunnel to work on some stuff. 20 minutes in the tunnel is going to cost you $400. And then I went this morning doing this and that, and you're buying parachutes for thousands of dollars. So, it adds up, and that's a sport that I enjoy taking part in, And so I remember 4 years ago, I could go to Chipotle, but I'd have to think about it because it would be a chunk of money. It's not that I couldn't afford it. It's, can you make sense of that purchase? So, I try to keep things in perspective. I'm super blessed and grateful for what I have. No doubt about that. I recognize that every single day. It's kind of the first thing I do when I wake up. But I also see people, some who are around me, just with insane amounts of wealth, not being rich, but wealthy. They can go make some insane purchases. They can go build 30 schools in Africa and really do some good work. So as soon as all this COVID stuff is over, a couple friends and myself, we want to go do some mission trips. So really going to be able to give back in at least the ways that we can, and just kind of experiencing that. Because one of the big problems, I don't think we've discussed it, for me, that really has hit home with me for about 5 years, is homelessness. Because I know people who've been homeless, and it's always been something where I think it needs more assistance than just people giving them money. There needs to be housing. The housing in the homeless community is terrible. They kick you out at 6 a.m. inside of there, and you've got to be outside all day, and hard to get a job. There's not much assistance. So I would love to use my real estate knowledge down the road to build some sort of infrastructure. Whether the government can fund it, we can partner, or I can pay for it myself, doesn't really matter. But I need to make the money so I can pay for it. So that's just, again, one of many things.
Right. Back to what you were saying, I got to take care of yourself first so you can really take care of other people too. And the more money you have, the higher you can do that. The larger scale you can do it as well. So
yeah. And people say money's the root of all evil, or money won't solve your problems. And I disagree in certain ways. For me right now, I was just talking, sitting in my pool last night with a couple friends. We were talking about it. I'm like, if I think about it right now, basically all of my problems right now would be solved by money.
Right.
Right now. Down the road, your problems change. You might have other things, but I have certain family members who need help, and medical bills stack up, and there's different things. And, I want to buy more real estate. There's stuff that I see that I can't get and I want. So a lot of things, and not that I have many problems, but it would at least right now be solved by that. So it just depends. It definitely won't hurt. So I don't know. There's not much else for me to do every day other than work. So
no, I agree with you on that, bro. I completely agree with you on that. I kind of want to touch on hard work again. So you said now, your day consists of 4 to 5 hours of work, since you have a lot of work automated and, build systems in your businesses. How is it different from when you first, I guess, started first became an entrepreneur and working, and what are some key changes you've made that have made you an efficient worker?
I think it's one thing that stuck with me is get 1% better every day. You know, people might watch something or hear something on productivity and try to be freaking God the next day with productivity. And that's great. You might hit it hard for a few days and that's it. You're tapped out. So it's just slowly discipline over time. I do simple things like every single day without failure for the last 2 years, I've written down my to-do list the night before. I never wake up and then decide what I'm going to do that day. It is always pre-written out to a somewhat loose schedule. So if I decide I want to go to the gym at 1 p.m. instead of 4, I can do that. You know, like today I decided to skydive in the morning. I still got back here by 9:30 in the morning, so I can still get most of my work done, you know, no problem. So I just write that out. It keeps things simple. It's not a long list. It's, you know, the priorities. So, and then if you're bored, fill the time with other work.
I love it, bro. I love it. Kind of wanted to touch on the next topic of, you know, and it kind of touches in with what we just talked about, hard work. And something I noticed with you is how you think big. And I always used to tell you, like, every time we had a convo, you know, I used to be like, what the fuck? And I think people don't know, but I think you were one of the biggest influences when it came to me dropping out of school. Especially all those convos you used to have when I was still in high school and stuff, you know what I mean? So it's crazy to think about now, but I kind of want to talk about, you know, your visions with just like how you think big, what made you think this way, and what do you do, you know, constantly to keep yourself in that mindset where you're always raising your standards of thinking big?
Yeah, I don't think there's limits. So if someone has it, you can have it. If someone does it, you can do it. You know, I mean, people can do a double backflip standing on the ground. Like, what the hell? I mean, you couldn't do that, and nobody had done that 10 years ago until someone did it. Now a bunch of people can do it. So it's just like a game of monkey see, monkey do, and someone proves it's possible. Like, watch, Jeff Bezos will be a trillionaire in the next 5 years. I guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee it. And he'll be the first. And then I guarantee you within the next 10 to 15 years after that, there will be multiple.
Right.
It always sparks that. I mean, right now in China, there's a new billionaire being created every week with how hot their IBOs are and everything. It's insane. So I mean, there's money like no other, but, you know, being able to do what you want and just thinking big, I just try to, you know, first of all, I don't surround myself with a lot of people. So I don't get a lot of negative opinions, which has been huge. I had that problem when I was in school. You know, I think school is very negative. So, you know, they make you fill out those forms on what you want to do and what college you want to go to. And I don't know, I was just honest. So I'd write, I don't want to go to college. I'm going to build a business. And, you know, they'd be like, you have to pick one. And I'm like, why? You just asked what I wanted to do. My choice. So, you know, it's just, you got to try and just surround yourself, even if it's online and with the right videos, just around other people so that you can think big, because there truly isn't a limit.
I agree. The same thing like you said with a trillionaire. I mean, an example I can give you is like, I remember even you know what I mean? I remember it's so funny because our convos earlier used to be like, I remember you used to tell me like, oh, you know, I want to make $10K a month. Then I can move out to California, you know, with the entrepreneur house and everything. and, you know, now to see where you're at now. And even like, I say that to say this is like back, you know, even for me, like 10K, that was that number, right? And I remember when I first came to Newport and seeing what you were doing at the scale, what you were doing, I was like, wait, what? Like, you know, we're the same age. And if he's doing that, what is, you know, limiting from me doing that? And that has happened, I say, multiple times in my life where it's like I see someone the same age or I see it as a possibility in real life. You know what I mean? Then it's like, oh, word. And then I sort of got it's a huge thing with like who you surround yourself with as well. But I think that is what always elevates me is like having people in my circle win as well and do better, you know?
Yeah, and it kind of sounds cliche, but a lot of people say that a trait of successful people is they look at other successful people and get inspired. Right. I think it is true, actually, because I know a lot of people who get depressed when they see other people doing better than them. They get sad or upset, and that's the wrong emotion to feel. So, you know, just look at it as a possibility. So, you know, for me, like, and by the way, this is the first podcast I've ever done. I don't do interviews. I've declined every single thing consistently. Right. But I have no reason not to be open and honest in here. Like when you said I moved out to California, I remember talking to you before I did, many, like 6 to 12 months before I did, you know, saying, as soon as I crack 10,000 a month in profit consistently, I can do it. And in my opinion, the hardest you'll work is when you're either trying to build something new or when you're not making money. So I was working super hard, and then as soon as stuff took off, it really took off. So when I moved to LA, when I dropped out of high school and moved when I was 17, that first 30 days I was there, like it was February of 2018, I made $96,000 in profit.
Wow.
That was by far my biggest month. Like that was a huge, huge increment increase for me, and that showed me what's possible. Because I don't know if I'd probably shared it with you. When I moved out there, I was staying with a friend for a few days. Right. He stole every single thing that I brought. Like I filled up my car with stuff. I'm talking the title to my car, the tablet that controls the tune for it, all my computers, all my monitors, my artwork, probably $10,000 worth of books. I had hundreds and hundreds of books, all my clothes, everything down to my freaking waffle iron, man, like everything that I brought. So I was left with a backpack with my laptop and no extra clothes. At 17, keep in mind, thrown out of his place. I just left. I was like, there's no chance I'm staying here. And I couldn't get a hotel, couldn't get an Airbnb. So I would have slept in my car. I have no problem doing that. I've done it before. But I went to multiple hotels until I found a young guy who worked there, and I threw him an extra $100 to book it under his name. Right. So I booked a hotel for 3 days. It was the most I'd ever spent on a hotel because it was like some event was in town. So it was like terrible timing. It was $700, and I made $70,000 in those 3 days because I never left the hotel. And that to me was like a huge fuck you to that guy because I knew what he made every month, and I just crushed multiple times that in a few days. So it was just me proving to myself what I could do, and those 3 days changed my life for sure because I didn't know anyone there. That was the only person that I did know. Haven't spoken to him since. So I would just go every night, and I would go drive along the coast of Newport Beach, and that's what made me move to Newport because remember I moved to LA. Right. So I was staying with my buddy there. I was staying with him. And got everything stolen. And then I was bouncing around in Airbnbs for a few months. And then that's when I went overseas for 4 months after that. So I hadn't gotten my place in Newport yet. But that's what made me fall in love with it.
Just so all the guys you used to go on. It is a vibe as well, especially on the M4 back in the days when you went on Newport Coast and stuff. Oh, my God, man.
Yeah, I used to drive crazy. But anyway, there's so many little things, and I can bore you with details, but, that's kind of my story and, the ups and downs that I've gone through. There's been a lot. There's been some great learning experience for sure. In the last 8 months for me has been the biggest change because I kind of removed myself from social media. I filmed a lot of YouTube videos in advance and then took a multiple month break. I slowed down. By the way, I posted every single day for 650 days. I think a lot of people don't notice that. That's how I built it because I wanted to see if I could be consistent. So I slowed down to 3 times a week, then 2 times a week, and then I was posting like twice a month for a few months. Stopped posting on Instagram, and then just like I turned off all the products that I sell through my personal brand, like the training program. I wasn't taking on any coaching, and I did that for like a 6 to 8 month period, and it really allowed me to focus a lot more on my business and scale the e-commerce stuff and learn a lot. I've truly learned a lot. There's been a lot of ups and downs through that, and it's just been a great experience.
What are some, you would say, like turning points or the shift in thinking that has really changed a lot for you in the last 8 months?
I've gotten a much better handle on money and how I personally want to use it and deploy it. Mm-hmm. So, I don't save money just for saving money. What I do, and this is just how I do it, I have a lot of bank accounts inside of my bank, right? So what I'll do is all my money from, for example, my e-commerce stores will be into one account. And then all my stuff for my personal brand, like any courses and stuff, will be into another one. And then my advertising agency, which takes me like an hour a month because it's fully automated, we can talk about that, that's into a separate account. And so what I do is I consider myself to personally live off of my YouTube income. The ad revenue there, any like affiliate stuff, any like, anything like that. And that pretty much covers my personal expenses because I don't spend a whole lot. Right. Contrary to what people think. And obviously my YouTube ad revenue took a hard fall when I stopped doing it. But the way I think about it is I'll send a certain amount of money into a real estate savings account, into just a general savings account, and I will never touch it. I'll never pull it out until I need to invest it. So that's what I started doing with all these properties I've purchased. And for me, the last 8 months, dude, I no longer care, like actually less than zero about what other people think.
Right.
And maybe it's because I've gone through the phases. I mean, I've been on jets. I've bought multiple supercars. I've done this and that. I've, shown that off. It was never for the purpose of it, but there's always some amount of ego behind that. Always. it's always at least a proud moment. And I love that car. I've always had a huge passion for cars, so I have no intention to sell them. You know, like I'm keeping my fun cars that I really enjoy. I'm always going to have cars around me. But it's just, I had a lot of perspective changes. I saw people make a whole lot of money. I actually lost a huge amount of money at the beginning of this year, invested into some new stuff, and that was a wake-up call. Right. And at the same time, you know, having deployed a lot of money into real estate and then had a huge amount of money being held by payment processors, which I still haven't seen. So it's been a fun challenge and just working to grind back and get everything good to go. It's good. You know, I felt a little too comfortable for a while. I can tell that. So, you know, I just enjoy what I do. I love the people that I'm around when I do it, and it's been amazing.
I love the change, man. I can see it. I can almost like see it in your face. You know what I mean? It almost feels like it seems like you're more relaxed nowadays. Or like I don't know. I know you still work hard, but you seem more like relaxed. I don't know how to explain it.
At peace.
At peace. There you go. That's the perfect way to put it, man. That's the perfect way to put it. And, you talked, you know, in this whole rant you were going on, you talked about just a lot of entrepreneurs or this whole entrepreneur journey, you've met a lot of entrepreneurs, good and bad, you know what I mean? And I think you also having a course, you've seen a lot of entrepreneurs. You just have had a good perspective on, you know, entrepreneurs got to see a lot of their behavior and stuff. I kind of wanted to talk about when it comes to, you know, collaboration with entrepreneurs. The do's and don'ts or any advice you may have for that, because I know you just said, you know, you having the experience with a horrible person that you linked in California versus some of the guys that you build businesses with. What are some advice that, you know, general advice, do's and don'ts advice you have when it comes to collaborating with people?
Yeah, from a personal brand perspective, obviously if someone has followers and you guys can give yourself a mutual benefit, you should in theory do it. I used to do the same thing with doing shout out for shout out on my Instagram pages back in the day. Yeah, you help each other grow. Just with a personal brand, make sure it's a person that you know, that you've vetted, that's ethical, that's legit. You know, I don't really associate my brand with people regardless. I have no problem showing my friends on there. I know I have some friends who don't want to be shown, so I keep that off camera and off social media. But for me, at least, you know, the person who had stolen all my stuff in California, like we didn't do any brand stuff together. I never put him on anything really. And, you know, that was one of the multiple people that's stolen from me. I had a roommate at my old house who I let in. He was working for me for a while, and I actually bought him a car. He was supposed to, you know, we had a whole contract, a whole legal thing set up. And dude, he straight up stole my car and left. Caused like $10,000 in damage to my house, destroyed it, left his dog's poop and piss everywhere, knocked down the curtains, holes in the drywall, destroyed it, stole a bunch of crap, and took the car and left. Wow. So it was and that's something I don't talk about, you know, one of multiple lawsuits, you know, pursuing that, dealing with someone who stole from me in that situation. And it's been a learning experience, you know, all in this that's been in like the last 6 to 7 months. Right. So it's been huge. And, like you said, it's interesting, your perspective on noticing that I'm more relaxed. I think it's just, I've dealt with so much shit that I'm just kind of over it. I just cruise, man. I do my thing. I don't really associate with many people. I'm a lot, I want to be careful using the word happy, but I'm a lot happier. You know, just more at peace, just hanging out, enjoying life, enjoying the people I'm around, and just catching a good vibe, you know, like we used to back in the day.
Man, sold out dates when going down Newport Coast could never.
It's been fun, yeah. Well, a big change as well for me. I want to touch on it. I've never spoken about it before. I've never posted it. I think this would be a great place just because I have now kind of come to terms with it. Right. I was in a relationship for 1.5 years. And you had met her, Claire, and I'm not sure if you know, but we recently separated.
Oh, where I know.
So that's something that nobody really knows. It was fairly recent, within the last couple of weeks. And, you know, absolutely nothing negative to say about her. We left on good terms. It was sadness, not anger. And it just wasn't going to work long term. We both knew that for the previous 6 months. And I think that relationship as well, which is my only relationship, has been a huge, almost maturing point in understanding compassion, feelings, people, you know, because I was always very robotic, and you know that. You know any of that stuff. It was always systems, you know, like showing affection, even in simple ways, you know, to your friends, and reaching out and making sure that, you know, everybody's doing okay, like no matter what. So it's truly helped me grow. I learned a lot through that experience. And you know, love the girl to death, absolutely always will. So it's been an awesome experience for sure, you know, and I had a simple criteria back when I lived in Minnesota 3 years ago. I told myself I would never let myself get a girlfriend until I had three things, until I was making money, lived in California, and had a car. Because I didn't want to get a girlfriend in Minnesota and then leave because, that would be terrible. And so, I just kept to that rule and found the person that I thought was right and ran with it. But I never once posted that. I know that I keep a lot of details about my life private. The only thing I really share is business.
Right.
And I don't even share. So many people don't even know what companies I actually run or what I actually do. I talk about e-commerce online. That's pretty much it. So it's very focused. So when people think they know me, they really don't. They know some of the stuff I do for a living and what I share, and I prefer it that way. I love to be connected with my audience, and like this, podcast here, I have no problem sharing to certain degrees, but I think there is a huge amount of privacy you should keep when you're posting stuff online. You need to be careful. I have a lot of friends who are YouTubers, big YouTubers, like actual celebrities, and now people who've blown up on TikTok and have a lot of attention, and you just need to be careful.
No, that's a huge tip, man, because that's something I'm learning. I've learned recently as well, and I think that's like a part of growth is like how you start becoming silent and stop announcing things. I feel like after a while, you just start doing your own thing, keeping your things private. Because the first point what you said, man, I think too many people judge people just based on social media, and it makes no sense because it's such a manipulated form of media because you choose what to post, right? But I love your point on that, man. And I think that is really, really important. Anyone listening, man, what he said is straight up, real. Like keep a lot of shit private because not everybody needs to know your life. You know what I mean? And there's actually I think there's more negative things that come with it than positives. Actually, way more negative things than positive that come with it.
Absolutely. And, social media is a double-edged sword. It's a great thing. You can utilize it, whether it's for a personal brand, for a business, for whatever. It's a great tool. It truly is. It's just you got to be careful because I saw people before I got into it get burned left and right. And I think that, if the internet knows as much about your life as your friends do, there's a problem.
That's a big thing.
So, I just want to be like, people look at it on there, do it on positive energy only, spreading good vibes. I love to help people. That's why I do it. It truly does not make me a huge amount of money. And it is not the main thing that I will be doing forever. I just enjoy doing it. And I have the free time too, and nothing else to really fill my time. So I do that. And if someone looks at myself online, you'll just see positive, helpful, a little bit of business information, occasional personal here or there. And that's it. That's me online. So you got to understand that difference.
That's a big point. And going back to, your brand online and what you talk about, which is e-com marketing business stuff. I know you said you want to touch on this. I want to actually touch on your advertising business and how you've got it to a point where, you've automated it and have systems so you don't even spend too much time working on it. I'm curious as to hear more about that and also any tips and advice you have when it comes to building a team, because I know we've talked about this even in Bali. You had a lot of experiences and ups and downs when it comes to building a team as well, which I think would be really insightful.
Yeah. I can't take all the credit for what I have right now. It's been a huge, huge help from some friends, as well as utilizing their company to outsource a lot of work to. It's been a great partnership, when you can help your friend as well. So that's huge. But when we were in Bali and talking about things, I had recently come off of some experiences with trying to build a team where I had, on one occasion, I put 10 people in a house. I was spending probably 10 to 15 grand a month on this test before actual software and advertising expenses, which was through the roof. That was a friend of mine. We were working on that, and it totally flopped. And it was a learning experience. But we had 10 people who would come to this large house. A couple actually lived there. There was a Facebook ads team, a web development team, product research team, and they would do all these different things. And a few of them, after like a month of learning, you don't know a bunch after a month, got together, thought they could do stuff on their own, ran off and then flopped and tried to come back. And it all crumbled. And it's just a learning experience. People, for me, is like the biggest investment. You need to be around the right people. And there is no way that you can avoid the negatives. I think you just have to kind of go through that and get those people and then don't really let anyone in. It's kind of like that's my mindset. I very rarely open up to someone or let them into my circle. But there's a friend of mine who I've recently become close with. I won't say his name just for privacy. He's not an online guy. Has a large agency, makes very large money, and he has over 300 employees. None of them are based in the U.S. They're all from the Philippines. And so he spends half his time out there. And he was telling me and this is a huge thing that clicked for me even just a few weeks ago. He invests into his people, not just the company. So what he does is he's basically built villages for them there, clean water, housing, helping them when the volcanoes erupt. He's basically helping raise their kids as well. He's out there half the time. So, those families' kids grow up and will eventually work for him and be super grateful for how he's changed their family's life. So it's really investing into people, making a true difference while building an awesome company culture. So, just from a people perspective, building a team, kind of back to my agency, depending on the business, I think number one, a great salesperson who can represent your company and your product in the right way, because they're not just talking to clients. That person's talking to every lead who's considering your company. So you have to be very careful there. Salesperson, from an automating the process perspective, a very easy onboarding process is great. And, I would recommend getting one trusted person to kind of manage all client communications. I don't communicate with basically any of my clients. It's like a faceless business. People don't know too much about that or the certain parts of my advertising agency. We do a lot of stuff with e-commerce people and helping them scale that. But I have media buyers who run the Facebook ads for it. There's people who communicate with the clients, and there's the sales team. And that's it. They run that simultaneously. Salesperson passes it off here and then passes it off to them. And it just, when it's time for another payment or they want to upgrade or do something else, they go back to the sales guy and they get all that set up. And so it's this loop that's great, and it takes a long time to set up, in my opinion. But again, you shouldn't have a problem working inside your business and on it. The goal is to work on your business, not in the business. But dude, for years, you're going to be both. It is what it is. I mean, when we were hanging out, I was every step. I was the sales guy. I was the marketing guy. I was on the content. I was the one editing. I was the one uploading. I was the one running my own ads, filming my own ads, editing them for e-commerce, for personal brand, and trying all these new things at the same time. That's why it was easy to fill up a 14 to 16 hour day.
Right.
But it's a lot of busy work that can easily be tasked to the right person. It's just hard to find that person. So, the advertising agency has been great. It's an awesome business, helping a lot of people, 99% positive feedback. And it's now at the level that it's just reaching. It's a new thing for me. The level it's just reaching now, it'll be a 7-figure revenue business from this point to the next 12 months. So it's awesome to have that. And, it's been a blessing to have that on the side.
Right. When it comes to people, like, what are certain things that you look for, when it comes to you even considering them working for you?
I now look at different things than I used to. It used to be skill. Now it's actually almost zero skill. It's you invest in the person. So I watch how they walk. I want to see how that person holds their head, how they speak to people. Are they polite, to the waiter when we're out at dinner? Are they saying please and thank you? Just simple things, their ethics, their code, their positivity, their energy. I should have seen warning signs coming when I see people slumped, walking a little hunched over, head down, always looking at their phone, no energy, just kind of mumble talking like this. Yeah, man, like that's awesome. It's just, I should have seen it. It was stupid. But, you live and you learn. So hopefully someone can learn from this. But you kind of got to go through it. So I look for good people. I look for the ethics and the positivity, the willingness to learn, and also focus on the long term. You don't want someone who's great, but who wants to go work with you to get work experience to then get a job with a bigger company. So try to figure out what they want to do and give them opportunity to rise up, inside the company. I always want to give people the opportunity to make more money and to handle more things, so they feel like they're part of the company, and they can grow. You need to foster a good environment for growth.
I agree. I think a mistake, in the industry that we are in, a lot of people, and it's sad because a lot of people teaching this are giving this false information. I think a lot of people say, hire this VA from India, $2 an hour. Oh, really expenses low. So you have 8 team members, you're spending $1,000, but like not understanding the opportunity cost of having them, not understanding like really, I think this is something I went through as well, is like not understanding that, oh shit, they actually hold the name of your fucking brand. So they have the power to fuck it up. You know what I mean? And quickly, and they won't face no consequences, but you will. And
I've dealt with that, dude.
Literally. And I think that's why, I am, that's why, like you said, I invest in people. I really, really when it comes to team, man, I really look for initiative, you know, like you said, willingness to learn and see if they actually go out of their way and do something. Like a lot of my team members, it's crazy. Like they just went, you know, they do something or they do things out of their way even when I don't ask for it. And I love that they're willing to learn. And before it might have been, you know, oh, hire this guy from Philippines from low cost. But now it's like, no, let me build a team of all-stars, just like all-stars that can all make a lot of money, you know, that can actually bring a lot of value and making it more of a win-win, you know what I mean? So it's like beneficial and just having a team of all-stars rather than, oh yeah, my team costs nothing. I paid them $4 an hour. They're from Philippines.
Yeah. You know, again, back to the team building side of things. I've tried something like that where I actually took a team of people. It was 8 VAs full time for $4,000 a month.
Cool.
Right. And it was purely a cost incentive. Like, holy crap, 8 people full time for $4,000 a month. That's, you know, the salary of one person here. Right. And I got to deal with benefits and setting this and that up. So I was like, okay, let's do it. But they had no experience and I didn't know them. So I didn't get to vet any of them, the work ethic or anything. They had just crashed and burned, you know. So I wasted a bunch of money there for multiple months. So it's just a learning experience. And I don't think people need as many hands on deck, to say the least, as they think they do. You don't need a bunch of employees right away. Dude, like I ran all my stuff by myself for 2 years. Like everything, like I would slowly like outsource.
At a high skill too, not at like at a high skill too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would just work all day. Like people underestimate what they can do, and it's just because I didn't trust anyone, you know. And maybe that's because of other issues previously, even further back in the past. You know, I don't like to trust a lot of people, so you know, I just did it all myself until I could find those right people. And sometimes you think you found the right person, but they're not. So you just got to be careful when it comes to hiring.
Right. I call it the process, man. You're going to have to go through the process where you're going to go through, you know, just shitty people. You're going to have to spend a lot of time training. I'm like, you know what? The process, you're going to have to go through it. But once you come out of it, it's fucking worth every single second because, damn.
Oh, yeah. And it's one of those things. I've heard a couple of very successful people who are super wealthy talk about how success and enjoyment and fulfillment comes from the journey, not just the destination. The destination has a part of it. Right. Now, I don't think anyone ever reaches a destination because how much is enough and you get bored, so you want to build something else. But, you know, now I can look back and think it was a really cool experience working with those 10 people in the house or those VAs and, you know, being in certain situations. And it's cool to look back on, whether it's positive or negative, huge learning experience. Right. So it's, you know, I'm grateful for that, especially for us to be able to do that at a young age. I think a lot of people don't get that type of experience or exposure until they're 35 to 40, you know, honestly, like with the amount of just absolute crap that we've dealt with and people and this and that. And that's why divorce rate is so high. That's why a lot of people go through what's called a midlife crisis. That's because of lack of experience. Yeah, I think that's a huge reason. So you just got to be careful.
I agree with you on that, bro. That is a fucking huge thing to think about. That hit me.
Yeah.
That hit me. I was like, damn, bro. Anyways, let's talk about, I think you touched on a little bit, money, the topic of money, and how your perception of money has changed from when you started to, you know, now.
Potential is definitely a big one. You think a million's a lot, you get $1 million, and then it's like, oh shit, this is a very, very small amount. Because what I realized, the more you make, the less it is. You realize it's so small. And that's why, you know, I'm sure you're the same. You know, we listen to a lot of rap music and different hip hop and people who talk about business and money and finance and like, you know, smart, manifesting stuff. And a lot of them have, you know, low key dropped stuff in there. I don't remember who it was. It might have been Drake or J. Cole talking about how when you make your first $1 million, it was Nipsey. He was talking about when you make your first $1 million cash, you're going to feel the pressure. So people have pressure when they have no money. That's a problem in itself. You can't pay your bills. But you get money, you're going to feel more pressure. You're going to feel it in different ways. It's different. It's not more per se. It's just different. So it never goes away. But for me, it's been just a big perspective change because now I know I can go get it again if I need to. So I'm working right now to get enough real estate investments so that all my personal expenses are covered from that, and get more cash flow there, build up certain savings accounts that I want, and then I'm already starting to do it. But then you can really make longer term decisions without having to worry about the money right now. You know, so nobody really take that away from you once you have that security, which is why it's important to me. because then I can focus on whatever I want. I can build a business that doesn't make any money if I enjoy it. I can dump money into projects that I'm passionate about, so it's just something where now I can make it. I've gone through those ups and downs, and I'm confident with the skills I have. And let's say even everything goes belly up 100 ways, nothing works. I can go to any one of my friends and be a salesperson for them, and I guarantee you I will make them hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Right.
I'll take a cut. I'll be, it's never a level of like going back to broke, because once you build a skill and you build a network again of great people, which is a very, very critical thing, you have that security net. And, so a lot of people say having that is bad and being comfortable is bad, but I disagree in certain ways, because especially if you're taken care of financially, some people just give up at that point, and that's fine. Some people don't want to push for more, but for me, it would just unlock that next level to be able to do whatever I want and build whatever I want, regardless of having to make more money month over month, year over year, which is a trap in itself.
It really is. And a big part that I love that you said is how, is the skills at the end of the day. You have the skills where if you were to lose everything, you have the skills to build everything back up. You know what I mean? And that's what I try to kind of just let a lot of young entrepreneurs know is listen, man, focus on building up skills rather than chasing all this money. Because if you just focus on the skills, you know what I mean? The money just comes with it, you know what I mean? And to kind of segue from that point, I want to talk about the questions, what are some things that you see young entrepreneurs, what are some things that you think are holding a lot of young entrepreneurs back when it comes to just reaching success?
The same thing is that I had, probably just mental excuses. Oh, I'm not 18. Oh, I don't have this or that. Oh, I don't have a big budget. I don't have, access to this person. You have all these friends. I'm like, dude, I didn't start out with any of these friends. I grew up in a small town in Minnesota. I started making a couple grand a month before I ever posted a picture of myself online, when I had my Instagram pages and was doing affiliate marketing. And I used all of that money, all of it. I would spend all of that pre-tax money, 100% of it, and I would go travel. I spent a month in Miami. I spent weeks in New York, New Jersey, California when I was 16. I would just buy a plane ticket and go. And, people would be like, oh, I have school. Cool. That's just an excuse. So figure something out. And I just use that to meet people. And it's crazy. Some of those people are friends of mine. For an example, when I was in Miami, I was supposed to be there for 4 days, right? Ended up staying for 34 days. And during those 34 days, a lot happened. The first day I got there, I went to my Airbnb in South Beach at a hotel, or not a hotel, it's an apartment complex called the Flamingo. Huge. Literally every porn star and bodybuilder lives there. I didn't know it at the time. I learned it quickly. Awesome place. So I'm there for the first 4 days, booked my Airbnb, $800, way too expensive at the time. And the guy who checked me in pulls up in a black, it was a black Jaguar SUV, right? $80,000 to $100,000 car. Super cool. At the time, I was like, damn. And I had my funnel hacker shirt on, ClickFunnels back in the day. And he's like, what do you do? He's like, what do you do? And I'm like, trying to get into e-commerce, a little bit of affiliate marketing and stuff. And he's like, nice, bro. I do Amazon. Me and that guy hung out for a bit, met up for coffee later that week. It was my first time in Miami. He showed me around. He was doing $80,000 a month on Amazon.
Wow.
And I was like, holy crap. So start talking and just meeting these people. And I never stayed in touch with him, but through that trip, I tried to go home after 4 days. And it's just how things work in the world. Big snowstorm. Couldn't get on a flight for 24 hours. Here I am, 16, fresh out of money in Miami, having to sleep in the airport. I was at the airport for 17 hours. I was messaging people on Airbnb saying hey, can I pay you a little discounted amount and just pay you in cash for, a place to crash? And I messaged a spot. It was a private room in a 3-bedroom apartment. They hit me back at 11:30 at night. I was about to have to spend the night at the airport. And they said, yeah, Uber here. Uber there, Morse coded on my phone number over Airbnb because you can't just send a phone number. And ended up meeting up with them. They lived on Pace Park right outside the Venetian Islands. And these guys, of all things that could have happened, 3 people living in this penthouse, beautiful place, beautiful view. And guess what they did? Shopify dropshipping. That is when I first saw the back end of a Shopify store doing $40,000 a month, and it was fidget spinners.
Wow.
And these guys had an 85% margin because, get this, they owned very large Instagram pages. So it was the best correlated thing. I stayed there for a month, and this is where maybe this helped me. I think it did, but I got all the experiences out of my system young in terms of all what I consider bullshit. They brought me along to every single club you could imagine, being in Live right next to Migos at a table, like when I barely knew who Migos were. They're throwing money. These tables are like $4,500 minimum starting price. I'm in Voodoo, which is on Ocean Drive, like on the little rooftop club, hanging out there. I'm 16, dude. Like, they're bringing girls over. Like, these guys are doing insane hardcore drugs, like just blowing money like no other. And it was the craziest experience because they'd bring girls over and try to get me talking to them and just threw me in the pit in all these experiences. And I don't drink, I don't smoke. You know that. People who know me know that. I don't do anything of that, and so it was an experience just to see it and be around it and get it out of my system early, right. in my opinion, because otherwise I'd be curious. I'm a naturally curious person. And I feel like if I waited till I was 21, then maybe one thing will lead to another and I drink or whatever. And it's okay to do that at times, but just is not for me. So I got those experiences out of the way and I started going down to Miami every week. I'd go back home for a week and then back to Miami for a week, and I'd just stay with them, and we worked on building their store. I helped them increase their sales. And it was a super cool experience. And, long story short, they never paid me the profit share payout or any of that. And like the whole thing fell apart, and maybe it's because of all the drugs, but regardless, I don't care. Great experience.
Right.
Free place to stay in Miami. It was really cool. So I got to do that, and that 3.5+ years ago, whatever it was, exposed my eyes to like directly what was possible. And that's when I went into my like 8-month grind mode that people know about my story until I figured out how to do dropshipping myself. It took me 8 months.
Right, man. I remember those times, bro. Wow, like shit. Yeah. Do you remember the call? I don't even know if you remember. I remember I called Dennis because me and Dennis were cool, and he's like, "Yeah, bro, I'm in Minnesota with Hayden. Yeah, he knows all about Instagram. You should talk to him." And I was like, "All right, for sure." And I got on call. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, this is a surfer dude. "Hey, what's up, brother?" And then we just talking about Instagram for like 20 minutes, and you're just like, "Yeah, man, have 9 pictures in there and this, that." And I'm like, "Damn, dude, I'm writing down notes and shit, man. This is still like what lead friendly. Actually, no, this is early drop shipping. Probably.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about that.
I remember that, dude, and it's crazy to see that. And Dennis is a great friend of mine. He has since moved out here, lives just down the road from me, and we hang out every night. He actually he works with me on some stuff. So it's been awesome to keep those relationships. It's invaluable. People who were there with you before. Right.
Like that's the beauty of this online thing is all this relationship you make, that like still exists, Like a lot of, honestly, 90% of my circle and maybe even more is like people I met through Instagram and online. And I'm like, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's like, I love my circle. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Absolutely. And dude, it's just all those experiences, that's why I'm grateful for everything that's happened, good or bad. Like even being in a relationship, from that perspective, from 18 to 20, I was in a relationship, and that's when, finances were huge, just really starting to pile up, investments, learning a lot, doing a lot, traveling a lot, brought her along for all that. And, when I bought the Lamborghini, she was like one of the first people I showed. And I feel like if I wasn't in that relationship, I'd use that Lamborghini, bro, and I'd go stun. I'd go like, I'd use it as a tool basically and just go pipe all these girls for sure. No doubt. I would have gone a little crazy. So it's all these things that I think have really helped me mature and just like calm down a little bit so that I just don't care anymore.
Right. And you have that circle, like you said as well, which is like the safety net, which will kind of not allow you to like go down. You know what I mean? And I think that's like, I'm grateful for that as well, where I've curated a circle where it's not just like a bunch of yes men, but like, let's say I was to start fucking up, they will point that out to me and let me know that I'm fucking up. Or like not only that sense, but also like, just lift each other up, collaborate and grow together. And that's what that's a huge thing. Actually, before we end, bro, the last question I have for you and last thing I want to talk about is certain principles that you live by, that you think really brought you like success principles for you, from the life that you've lived. And the success that you've seen, certain things that to be true that contributed to your success.
Yeah, I would say a couple things come to mind. Consistency, always number one, primarily in work, but also in anything, relationships, follow up, like us touching base constantly over Snapchat and this and that. I think that's huge. And we do that just because we're friends, not like we're thinking about keeping in touch, but right. It's just consistency is everything. You do something really hard for a month and then you stop forever. It's not going to last. So consistency, number one, be a good person, be kind, show compassion to others. That's huge. For me, like I mentioned with the homelessness, and that's just a topic that hits with me. It might not hit with everyone. I don't just give money to someone. Like when I was in Vegas, I invited someone who was outside asking for money to come eat with me. I sat with him for an hour. Yes, I got to learn. Got to help him. I'm sure he enjoyed the conversation. Great guy. I've even had one situation actually in LA. I got a homeless guy a hotel night, $109, a hotel for the night. $109. I get a bill 2 days later for $580. I call him. I'm like, what the hell? The dude stole the mini fridge, the TV, the microwave. I was like, bro, are you kidding me right now? And they're like, yeah, like you stole the fridge. I'm like, okay, let me just tell you, this is not for me. Like it was like, okay.
That is crazy to think about. Oh my God.
But regardless, not having that change your opinion. So being kind and compassionate is huge. Be a good person. You'll attract good people. And then I would say, it's a tough question. Success principles. I've always just been consistent. I've always worked. I've tried to be kind to others, and always be learning. This is something I always come back to. I mentioned this on my YouTube channel somewhat recently, actually. I'll go like 6 months without like really trying to learn. And I've recently I bought 2 more courses. I picked up a book for the first time in like 3-4 months. I'm not a big reader, but I like to still learn. And I think that when people start getting some amount of measurable success that might be large in their eyes, which I know mine is sometimes in my eyes, you stop that, and you don't ever want to stop the progression, because just keep in mind what got you there in the first place was learning. You had to learn new stuff. Right. And while you should spend less time learning because you got so much stuff now to run, you got to operate that business and whatnot, it should still be a disciplined ritual. So be consistent. I'm consistent throughout my day. I'm consistent with my habits. Just simple things. It doesn't need to be crazy, man. I try to work out a few times a week. I try to eat clean basically every meal. I do simple things every single day, like my notebook, and that makes all the difference for me.
That's lovely, bro. And I always love all the, like you said, kindness, like the positive vibes, all the good times we had in Newport, bro. Not only that, man, like just everything from just like the beginning, we've been connected for a while now. Just seeing your progression has inspired me a lot. Like I always tell you, bro, Newport's literally one of like the first turning points in my life that changed everything for me. So I'm like forever grateful for that, for you to even do that for me. That was like, I'll never forget that, man. I'll never fucking forget that. Trust me. That
was awesome. We had so much fun. I learned a lot when we were there. And Newport, for me, living there, I signed a year lease on that apartment. Unfortunately, I only lived there for 6 months.
After that, you barely fucking stayed there. You were just paying rent for nothing.
I was never there. But regardless, those 5-6 months that I was there made that entire payment more than worth it. That spot was a bit expensive and whatnot, but I had no expenses at the time. I was like, it makes sense for me to pay an extra $1,500 a month to have, in my opinion, an amazing view. It was like the only apartment complex with a view was on the beach. It was like the best unit there, corner, huge, just insane. You remember that, so much space on the balconies. We had hammocks, a couple of hammocks, grills. It was so relaxing to look at that, and having that view really inspired me every day and made me think big, because the only thing I was looking at was the neighbors' cars that were parked below that I could see. Amazing view. I could see Ferraris, Mercedes. We're looking at the Bentley dealership right down to the right. Hundreds of Bentleys and Porsches, insane cars, Lamborghinis. I lived there. I saw Paganis and multi-million-dollar cars. And I'm just looking at all these multi-million-dollar houses that basically start at $6 million. I could see a $75 million house that was on the market for sale, and all these yachts in front of their houses. Just a gorgeous sunset, Catalina Island. You remember, dude, it was like the actual best vibe. And that investment definitely helped me.
Right.
For sure. Because it's not the money piece of people you're in Vegas.
You always look at the ROI, monetary wise.
Dude, when I was looking for an apartment, I looked at a bunch. They were around $3,000. I'd rather get a place for $2,500 or $3,000, but I'm looking at another building right there, and people could see in, and I knew that I would not make as much money in that environment. So it made sense for me to spend more to be at peace every day and enjoy. And dude, we'd go out on that balcony 10 times a day just to appreciate it. You remember?
Bro, that's why
I'd be like, bro, look at this. Like, I would do
every sunset we used to do that and just go, holy fuck, and just play music, some Nav. Oh my God.
Dude, some of my friends and some of these girls used to get pissed. They'd be like, yeah, I get it. Like, stop mentioning it. I'm like, I lived there for 6 months. I'm like, look at this. Like, it was amazing. It's still amazing to me. And, I always appreciate, being able to have an amazing view and just those experiences. So, yeah, I mean, that place definitely changed my life for sure, man. I'm glad we did that.
I'm super glad we did it. That's why I love this view from my condo. And every night, bro, I swear to God, every night it's the same sunset. But every day it's just like a new joy where it's like, damn, man. You know what I mean? It's just, I feel like views just expand your mind. And like, I don't know. Every time I just like look at a nice view, bro, it just expands your mind. It's a nice calm moment, calm moment for sure.
Very calm, very, just eye-opening. Just expands your mind.
Right. Lovely, bro. Anyways, man, I want to thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I know you're a busy guy. I know you don't do this often. I'm really grateful that, you did this for me, bro. For the people that I guess want to connect with you, let them know their socials. We're going to put it below the, links all in the podcast description. But yeah, let them know what's up, man, before you go.
For sure, man. Appreciate that. Of course, would love to come on here at any time. Always willing to help out. For any socials, the main two that I use, Instagram and YouTube. Just my name, Hayden Bowles. You can just find me for my last name, Bowles. That's my Instagram handle. And yeah, you can DM me on there. Good spot to get an answer is the most recent YouTube video. So whatever you see is the most recent one. I always like to check the comments and try to help out as many people as I can in there, asking questions about Facebook ads and kind of more so the stuff we talk about on that channel. So it's been awesome, building that channel up and having an amazing kind of family there that, someone will ask a question and like 10 other people will reply to it. And then me. Lovely. It's really awesome to see. I appreciate and love everyone on there and love you too, bro. I mean, being able to come on here, awesome. Love seeing you winning. I got to come up to Canada at some point. I haven't been there in a while.
Been too long. We've been talking about this since 2017, bro. So we got to make it, we got to make it happen. We got to come out to Toronto for real, man.
I'm down. Never been. So let's do it.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Yeah.
That is it for this episode of Keeping It Real, everybody. And if you guys did enjoy this episode, I just ask for a small favor, and that is to share this with someone that would benefit from this podcast, as I really want to grow this community and this podcast through word of mouth, right? From you guys sharing it or telling someone to mess with this podcast or listen to this podcast or posting us on Instagram. And by the way, guys, if you do post us on Instagram, please use the hashtag Keeping It Real and tag me at SplashmanPB just so I can see it, just so I can, stay connected with the family and interact with some of you guys. But yeah, like I said, if you guys want to keep in touch with me, my Instagram is at SplashmanPB. If you guys want to check out my YouTube where I drop amazing content and amazing value as well, just search my name, Richard Busnith, and my channel will appear. But anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.